And then when you start it, you got to make sure. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Am I audible?
No.
I'm Steve.
You're Steve.
I'm
Hello.
not
Hi,
audible.
Sam. Can everybody Sam me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Who? What?
Sam.
Wait,
He's
is
not
this on?
audible, but he is Sam.
Yes. I am Tom. Or I was.
Yes,
I
until
may
we're
change
audible.
at some point. I don't know.
Who knows?
Happy Friday.
Welcome to Breach of Protocol.
I heard a rumor that this is our 60th episode.
60th? 60?
60.
Wow. LX.
How can we still be so bad when we've been doing this that long?
Takes a lot of skill.
Or should I just speak for myself?
A lot of skill and practice.
Yeah.
This is our LX episode for those of you who prefer Roman numerals.
Oh my gosh. I lose it after like 20.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I don't know. I never bothered.
Wait a minute. LX.
I even took Latin and I still don't know.
Quick, somebody figure out what
Excel?
it is in binary.
Oh, geez.
60?
This is our 101101 episode.
It's 64 minus 4.
Oh, yeah.
So who's talking this week? I didn't pull the short straw.
Some humans, some machines.
Yeah. Yeah. Big.
A lot of machines.
Oh, no.
Big
Not the
news.
machines talking.
Yeah. The world has just changed this week significantly, I think.
Again.
So what changed in the world this week?
The third week in a row.
We're at war.
Well, we've been at war.
We're at war, boys and girls. We're at war. It's exciting.
So what changed? Because being at war isn't a change.
Oh.
AI's doing things isn't really a change.
We got a presidential memorandum that came out this week.
Yes, I want to be a pirate.
Yes. There are now privateers endorsed.
I want to.
So first, what is presidential memorandum? Because I've had to wade through and adhere to executive orders all over the place, but this is different, and it came out as a presidential memorandum versus an executive order. And in general, it's just like an executive order, but not as much as. So an executive order, for example, is the president comes out, and when it's written down in an executive order, everyone in the executive branch has to do that. It has the force of law.
Okay.
And it automatically goes into the Federal Register. So it's published.
Okay.
I don't know if people know. The Federal Register contains like everything that's ever been put out by the government or
sure.
Whatever. Yeah.
Wow, that's big.
Presidential memorandum also has the force of law. So it's as if a new law was just passed and approved.
Okay.
In the executive sense. Except it doesn't get the force of law unless they publish it in the register. And I don't know what that means, really. I don't know, like, who decides if they're going to, so in theory, this presidential memorandum that came out this week that we haven't named yet or talked about could be rescinded, right? Implicitly by not having it officially published.
Oh, okay.
But maybe they're going to listen to see who screams really the loudest and then decide what to do after that. But what's the name of it? The name of it is, it's in here somewhere, reading it verbatim.
I think it's called Go Hack the Bad Guys.
Expanding capabilities to combat transnational cyber-enabled crime.
Oh, yeah. PCOs.
Yeah.
Transnational criminal organizations.
Yes. And the TLDR is that the United States now has cyber privateers.
Wow.
Or that's what this will enable. And an entire marketplace that supports them.
Okay.
So
what's a privateer you were going to tell us?
oh yeah, like when they, this is going to sound terrible, but in the past, I don't mean it to sound terrible, but it's going to sound terrible. In the past, let's say you've got a country and they're at war with another country, but their military forces are limited because their finances are limited. And so the king allows private captains to hop on their boat and go at will attack the bad guys.
Is this like in the Wild West they would deputize people?
Kind of,
No.
but not
Is that
really.
a real thing, or is that just in movies?
No, that was a real thing. That's a real thing. But it's much more institutionalized. You know, this is like from the federal government. So this isn't just like a local deputization. This is.
I think this was a way that some pirates went straight, stopped being criminals, and became actual law-abiding.
Absolutely.
Just by going to a government and saying, "Hey, we'll fight on your side. We'll fly your flag."
Yep.
And it made them.
So let's put it in context. Let's talk the way it was then.
Okay.
And then what it means now. So back then, it meant you've got a guy, a captain of a ship, who's a pirate, full-on pirate, and they just want to go and hack and slash. And
that's kind of a piratey background.
Yeah, and they would just want to go through and hack and slash, but they keep getting chased down by the Royal Navy or whatever, and they're like, this sucks. So they get special permission from the king that says, okay, you can go do your piracy, just don't attack our ships. Only attack their ships. Only attack Spanish ships, for example. And they say, okay, that's cool. And then they go out and do it. So today, you've got, let's say you're a ransomware gang. And you're like, trying to make money hacking hospitals and schools and water plants and whatever. And now you all turn to each other and say, look, if we go and put up $1 million bond and get permission from the federal government, we get to do this and not
with no threat of prosecution.
As long as we hack the bad guys and not these guys. Now there's this is a bit hyperbolic because extensive background checks and stuff. And so if they find out that you've actually been an established ransomware gang doing bad things, they'll probably throw you in jail instead and not give you the whatever. But it still stands. There's an awful lot of shadow operations that go on, both from just general people and from companies and from large companies that go and hack is a very vague term, but conduct offensive operations against the bad guys, people that we would all consider to be bad guys. And it's not sanctioned now. And if they get caught, it's bad.
Wow.
And here they can do it. And as long as they put in the correct paperwork, put in the $1 million bond, and they can do it.
Collect awesome. Intelligence and disrupt their operations.
And they need tools, and they need services, and they need support staff, and they need, they need intel feeds.
So you're saying that just because I don't have $1 million to put up a bond, I could still participate? Yeah.
I mean, it seems to follow. It seems devil's in the details, but it seems to follow that. And I have, like at Ridgeback here, we have not done offensive things. The stuff we do is for defense. A lot of the techniques are offensive operations that have been repurposed and retooled to work effectively as defense. But this opens the doors to, now it's, who knows what we'll do. I don't know. It's exciting. I endorse this presidential memorandum. I do wholeheartedly. I say, this, bring on the killer robots, everything. We're getting the regular person in the street is getting stomped on. They're getting head stomped repeatedly, and It's got to stop one way or the other.
Yeah.
And then, so what's the motivation for somebody to do this? Just to be able to do the things that they like have been like learning about, these techniques on how to disrupt systems and stuff. They haven't been able to actually like do it, or are they getting paid? Or
well, if you've got somebody, it could be paid. I mean,
they get the loot that they steal from the bad guys.
The specific details are, devil's in the details. But let me give some ideas of things that could come out of this. So, for example, let's say you're a bank. Already, banks have problems with people trying to break in and steal stuff. And I'll stay as vague as possible, but they're not passive. The banks are not passive. But it's a problem. There's a tension there, because if you go out and you publicly say, "Oh yeah, somebody tried to break in and we went and like shut down their whole place and got them whatever," that you can't do that. You'll get thrown in jail for that. So now you could go and collaborate, and it's essentially a collaboration with the federal government, and say, "Look, this is who's trying to break in. This is what we're going to do about it. We're going to share resources with you. Let's do it." And you could have federal contracts, right? So this opens the doors to the federal government. They already have tons of contractors doing all kinds of things. This opens the doors to them opening and saying, "Well, we're going to hire you. We're going to pay you to go after those guys that you want to go after, because we want them gone too."
So
and not only are we going to pay you, we're going to give you resources to help you.
So there's like a group, and they keep trying to hack this bank, and the bank is like done with that. The bank can find this group that put up the $1 million bond and got approved by the government to go and do counter operations, and the bank can say, "Hey, these guys won't leave us alone. Can y'all go take care of them and knock them out, please?"
Yep, I could see that happening. Absolutely.
Sweet.
Very, very. What's his name? Neuromancer. William Gibson. Yeah. Is this William Gibson or?
It's William Gibson.
Okay, William Gibson. Which I heard that there's a series coming out for Neuromancer. A
TV series.
Yeah, I think it's on Apple TV, but
yeah,
I've heard. Right. I haven't looked into it yet, but
cool.
It's very interesting. But yes, absolutely. I mean, you could have this, mercenary groups being hired by the big companies to go after whomever. That's a possibility. I'm not saying that will happen. I'm not saying it's a sure thing but it certainly looks plausible under this framework. This, it's a general, but it's got to get published. So, and then it's got to force a law, and then, they've got to set up the systems to do the approvals and check the bonds and the background checks and stuff. And a lot of that is sort of in place, but it's, and then, the marketplace explodes. And then there becomes a market for people selling who don't actually do the offensive operations, but build tools for offensive operations.
Ooh, a sub-market.
And they sell them to, or lease them to, or whatever, or make them on demand for the companies that actually do run the offensive operations.
Cool.
Like, Repo, the genetic opera. A sub-market. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
That's kind of what I was.
Yeah.
Market, a sub-market growth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh dear.
If anyone in the audience doesn't know what we're talking about, I'm not sure you should try to figure it out.
Find it out. Well, the White House thing, I mean, you can go to whitehouse.gov and look for the headline, expanding capabilities to combat transnational cyber-enabled crime. That's and it's presidential action. Presidential memoranda, August 12th, 2026.
And you got to go after legit bad guys.
Yeah, it has to
when
be
I say legit
foreign.
Bad guys,
they have to be foreign.
Yeah, but it can't be. Well,
it can't be the governments, the foreign government.
Right, it can't be a foreign government. Right, it can't be China, it can't be Russia, because by definition,
war.
they are sovereign states and therefore not bad guys.
Yeah.
Right. They're really not. We may have disagreements and stuff, but you can't, there's
Legally.
no logical framework in which you can objectively say this one's good and this one's bad, simply because by definition, they're all sovereign. So they all, whatever they say goes within their own domains. Now, of course, there are moral objections to that, but those are simply moral objections and not like in a legal framework. The
sounds easy to manipulate.
I forget. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is Pandora's box. This is absolutely Pandora's box.
Oh boy. Yeah.
It's exciting. It's exciting. I think.
But it's not any taxpayer money going into it. It's all private.
No, it's tax money can go into it too.
Oh.
I mean, they got to fund the background checks, and they got to fund the oversight, and they've got to, if they do collaborations, they get to fund that. And these things may be paid for by. So China's done this for a long time now, where they go out and they encourage their private sector, whatever that is, to. And the problem is that, let's say you've got a criminal gang in China on Chinese territory, and they're all Chinese, and they are doing offensive operations to conduct espionage in the United States, and they take the things that they get, they just loot information, and then they turn around and they sell it to the Chinese government. Right? So technically that group is not, in the way I've just described it, at least, that's not the Chinese government attacking you.
That's a criminal organization that
some
we
private criminal organization that the Chinese government could at any time decide they don't like and have them executed or thrown in jail or whatever, So, and that makes it very, that makes this whole international cyber scene very complicated, because, was it the government? Was it someone paid by the government? Was it someone who the government just said wink, wink, nod, nod, and went off and did it on their own? Look in the context of Iran. Look at what, there's all these Iranian hackers who are like, we're going to do whatever because we support are they really independent like that? Or are they being coerced into doing that? Are they being paid to do that? Are they part of the government?
Probably all of the above.
Yeah, who knows?
There's probably a whole bunch.
Anyways, all that's been going on against us for the longest time, and so we're basically, anteing up.
So
it's the full force of the U.S. government who's anteing up, which is nothing.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
So the gray area just got grayer.
Yes, like gray goo, but different.
It's fascinating.
I'm excited.
Well, speaking of whole countries being attacked,
yes.
What's going on with Taiwan?
I don't know what's going on with Taiwan.
I saw something about over
They weren't attacked, were they?
Was it 6,000 or 6 million cyber attacks? It was 6,000 cyber attacks daily.
But where are they coming from?
Well, that's just it.
Where are they coming from, and where are they coming from?
And now they're showing that LLMs, open source LLMs, are the ones running the attacks, which open source LLMs means it could be basically anyone. And we've already seen this past couple of weeks, LLMs are capable of doing this. So
the barrier to entry just got lower.
Yeah. Anyone can go tell an LLM, hey, this is what I want. And you don't have to be technically proficient and tell it how to do it. They do suspect that it's China linked, but they don't know that for sure. And they're using AIs to do continuous, people have to sleep. People have to take breaks. People can't be on 24/7 attacking the whole time. And so turning it over to a machine, even if the machine is not as good as a person, they can just do so much more, and they can eventually break in.
Brute force. Brute force.
Yeah, just brute force. So why Taiwan?
Have to be smart.
No, it even artificial idiocracy can do it, which is what a lot of AI is, in my opinion. But Taiwan, as we all know, China claims it, but Taiwan says no, we're not part of you, and run on their own thing. And we in the U.S. recognize Taiwan as an independent nation. I think. Do we,
Actually,
or has that changed?
that's speaking of gray areas.
Yeah.
My understanding on this topic is that they're actually technically one country.
According to who?
Law themselves, everybody, right? So they had a civil war. China had a civil war sometime back, and that's why this schism exists.
Okay.
And I don't pretend to be an analyst on Chinese history or geopolitics or anything, but my understanding is they had a civil war. There was this rift. This Taiwan thing grew up. It's offshore, so they've got that natural barrier that separates them. They had the ideals and the forms of government started evolving independent of each other. Obviously, the economic strategy was different between the two,
Mm-hmm.
and so Taiwan has been economically very successful. Mainland China wants to be very economically successful too, and they've done their own. They've got their way that they're doing it, and so I think that there probably is a strong argument that it is just one China, and I think that the United States is actually. I don't want to say conceded, but I think a lot of people are very hesitant to say, when I say people, I'm talking about other governments. I think they're very hesitant to say that independent country or versus one country simply because of that history, and it's not their country also. Right.
Yeah.
So, I certainly
sense.
wouldn't want anyone telling the United States that Alaska is not part of the United States or is part of the, it's like, no, this is our business, not your. So, I mean, I understand where a lot of this stuff comes from. I would,
Right.
I also understand that a lot of people want to take sides. I also understand that there's a lot of economic interests, a lot of very, 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 very greedy people who have a stake in this. So anyways, that's the.
Yeah, we have someone pretty knowledgeable in the comments talking about this and how we don't actually recognize them, because if we did, China would go to war with us. And remember that news story about the senator that went over for a visit and then caused all the problems.
Pissed off.
But the number I was saying earlier was wrong. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I just, again, I can definitely understand the viewpoint that it's just one China because of the history, right? Because I don't think that there has been any event, like we had a revolution and broke off from England, right?
Yeah,
and it was Declaration of Independence, and everyone recognized it. And I don't think anything like that's happened with Taiwan. And so, someone says don't see them as part of China. And yeah, absolutely. So obviously most people in Taiwan want to be their own country, just like we wanted to be our own country. And and Taiwan is prosperous economically the way we were prosperous economically, we being the United States. And they point out that it's chip manufacturing, right? Because there's a thing, right? There's an important thing there and that's, so it's.
We like chips.
It's gray.
It's
gray.
Well, the numbers I was talking about earlier were totally wrong, but they were in the right order of magnitude. So the actual number comes from the Taiwan's National Security Bureau, and this is a report back in January, and it says they're facing an average of 2.6 million Chinese cyber attacks per day in 2025, up 6% from the previous year. So China is okay with people in its nation doing cyber attacks on Taiwan. That was before the LLM thing came up.
Yeah.
So who knows? Oh, great question in the comments. So does that mean now that persistence matters more than skill?
In terms of like attacking, because the AI just does a whole bunch of stuff and just is relentless and just eventually finds a crack in the armor somewhere. And
it's a matter of scale, right? So if you can if you can pummel something indefinitely with indefinite resources, then absolutely persistence matters more than skill. Evolution works because of persistence.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't work because it's, well, I mean, there are some fringe theories that have other things to say about that, but
yeah. So I mean,
Well, like
really
what
though, that's how
happened
you
to
get a
timeline?
skill is through persistence.
if I grow a bunch of bacteria in a tray, and I've actually seen this done with time lapse, you can literally evolve bacteria to be deadly antibiotic resistant
Yeah.
bacteria in your own tray, in your own kitchen, in the span of, I think it was like 4 days or something like that.
Wow. I thought it was over months.
Was it? I don't know. I think it was really quick.
No, you're probably right. I would have thought that it was
You
over
just
the
have to
course of
control the
months.
environment, and you do that by doping certain areas with antibiotics and stuff. And you can
Wow, that's
force,
scary.
and by, when I'm talking about evolution, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about
Yeah.
these random permutations that just, so many of them. Chemistry works the same way. It's there's so many random collisions that eventually something happens.
Wow. Well, it is scary what's
A
possible now
force to be reckoned with.
LLMs able to be persistent at different things, not just hacking, but also things, like looking at all the chemistry solutions and mixtures that you were talking about. We actually have LLMs looking at all possibilities and seeing things that would be more fruitful.
But you could do that. So the LLMs that everyone knows about are kind of generic, and they're with words and stuff. You can use machine learning techniques, the same techniques, but specialized for for a specific domain, and get much better, faster, more reliable results than just throwing generic LLMs at it.
That makes a lot of sense.
And you've been able to do that for a long time, right? That's nothing new.
Yeah. Well, the idea of persistence being better than skill, I don't know that it's better, but if you're persisting at something that you're semi-skilled at, doesn't that just mean practice?
Only if you get better.
Yeah, if you get better.
Perfect practice makes perfection, whatever.
Or something.
Whatever.
Poor practice makes no. How did it go?
means failing a lot.
Yeah. So, what was the headline for today's show?
Was there a headline?
There was like a resilience before the breach becomes recovery. What is resilience? What does everybody think resilience is? In my opinion, I know there's an actual definition and we could look it up. In my opinion, resilience is the ability to handle whatever happens, and preferably to come out ahead. Now, when we're talking about cybersecurity and we're talking about making our networks and our systems safe from being breached, what is resilience in that sort of an area? Can we really try to reach the idea that something is totally unbreachable? History's shown us that's impossible. There's no such thing as something that can't be hacked that's connected.
Yeah.
It just depends on the resources being pushed at it. So what's
it
resilience?
doesn't have to be connected.
It doesn't even have to be connected.
Yeah,
That's right.
it
doesn't even have to be connected. So what is resilience in the face of this kind of cyber activity?
Monotonicity. Or lack thereof.
Okay, I love that.
So I can give you a formal approach to this, a formal framework. I've got an IT system or a collection of IT systems, and that could be anything. That could be computers, networks, printers, thermostats, IoT, IT, OT. And in fact, you could also include people in this mix, but let's just talk about the technical things. So this technical system is in a state, and it can evolve into different states. and it can go from one state to another.
Okay.
And let's just put
Following.
arbitrary labels on the states and call them good states and bad states.
Okay.
Good states are when things are working the way you want them to work.
Okay.
Right? Bad states are when things are not working the way you want them to work. So, for example, let's say I've got a building and you've got offices and desks and computers and people, and they're all doing their things. And there's a big thunderstorm outside, and lightning hits a transformer. The power goes out for the entire building. The backup generator does not kick on. Your whole building is now in a bad state.
Okay.
Right? Bad state because nobody can do any work. So resilience is the ability to go back from the bad states to the good states without spending too much, without expending too many resources, which would include time.
That makes sense.
So there has to be a knowable, predictable, acceptable cost for going from the bad state back to the good state. In the case of North Korea hacking Sony Motion Pictures, I don't know if you guys remember that comedy show that was poking fun at North Korea and Kim Jong-un.
Yep.
Right. He did not like that. Not surprising. And they directed offensive operations to burn that place to the ground. And that's sort of what they did. So they went in there and they essentially destroyed everything, destroyed all data, destroyed all hardware, they had to completely gut that place of all the infrastructure and rebuild it. Nothing remained. That's clearly a bad state with unacceptable resilience.
Okay.
Right? Because it cost them everything to go back to a good state.
Well, it's also a business decision on what's their acceptable downtime.
Yeah.
What does it mean if your entire building burns down with regard to acceptable downtime? If you lose everything.
Oh.
I mean, because they literally lost everything. They
had things not only destroyed but also stolen.
Yeah, they took all the data. They were completely inoperable. That organization, that a part of Sony Motion Pictures, whatever it was, completely. It's as if they had no electricity. They were, they probably had electricity, but that was it. All the computers were rendered useless. And this is not like, oh, we can restore from a backup useless. This machine is no longer operable in any way whatsoever, and we have to throw it away and get another one.
So I'm usually thinking about the digital resiliency. If I have are we going to say half an hour is okay while we take our backup files and build up new assets and restore from our backup files, or is only 2 minutes of downtime is acceptable? So that for that reason we have to spend a whole lot more money to have another parallel,
data center basically
to hot swap it over.
Yeah. The clouds made it easier for smaller companies to be able to do that. But I've worked for relatively small companies, just several million a year is all, that have the fast failover where they have data centers in different parts of the country, usually through the same provider like Amazon or Azure. And if one goes down, it fails over to the other one within seconds. So it really does come down to...
Except when it doesn't.
Except when it doesn't, because it wasn't tested.
Because the control plane was concentrated in U.S. East. And remember when that went down?
Oh, yeah.
The control plane for Amazon was in U.S. East somewhere or something like that, and it went down, and so there was no failover for anyone for anywhere. There was a single point of failure within
for all this time.
And they'll never tell you where it is until it happens, and then they'll go, oops, we made a mistake. Don't worry,
what's
it won't
the
happen again.
probability that would happen? And what would be the negative the magnitude of the negative consequences of it happening, right?
Yeah.
Here's an interesting point, because we're talking about resilience and cybersecurity, right? But we're talking about other events, like I'm talking about a power outage. In my mind, there's no resilience in cybersecurity is not the issue. It's continuity of business operations. Because it doesn't matter if it's cybersecurity or a lightning strike or a crazed gunman or
Physical
a
security.
flood
Yeah.
or a volcano, or it could be anything, or
They ran out of coffee beans that day.
a bug, right? A bug in the code. A bug in the code causes all the data to be wiped out for whatever reason, which is, that's not unprecedented. So it's really continuity of business operations that people should be worried about. And you've got your cybersecurity people and your IT people and your accountants and your, everybody should not be worried about their little corner, but they should always, anyone who works for these companies should always have in mind the company's operations and continuity of those operations, not your little corner. That's what I don't like about the schism of cybersecurity, when suddenly cybersecurity became its own domain, its own field, right? That's like, I mean, I see it as just like kind of a craziness. It's like, look, this is all the same stuff. You're all working to maintain the same continuity of business operations. Don't call it, because especially when the companies get larger and you have a department of and a department of this, and then you have these turf wars between them, and then you have, communication problems between them, and
competition for budget.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a big one. Absolutely. Because who's a cost center? Who's a revenue center? I don't think it helps to talk about just, like, if you're going to talk about resilience and cybersecurity, I don't think it helps to just focus on cybersecurity. I think you need to think of the bigger picture of the business operations. How are you keeping the business operations going?
Mm-hmm.
Because when I'll follow up on that a little bit. When people think about cybersecurity, then they're trained to think about certain things. And this is the problem with detect and respond. They're trained to think about, they go to school, they get certifications, whatever, these certain things. And they're like, these are the things that are important. And when they look at these with blinders on, these things that they think are important, they don't see the things right next to them. They're just as important, that they should also be thinking about, that they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, PDUs, power distribution units, in a data center. In a data center, at the end of the racks or around clusters of racks and so on, you've got these PDUs, or these power distribution units, and they're these big honking transformer things that deliver the power to the racks.
Mm-hmm.
These things can be hacked. So if you've got someone in cybersecurity thinking, I have to protect this data center, what are they doing to protect the PDUs? Yeah. What are they, and that power can also be, those devices can be attacked upstream,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they expect a certain frequency, a certain phase of power coming into them. And what happens when that gets fouled up?
Yep. And they're generally connected, and the vendors generally push updates over the internet, and anywhere in there they could be hacked. It could be,
and it's not like you can put an agent on those things.
Yeah,
right? These are specialized hardware.
There's no limit to the creativity of finding vulnerabilities and breaking things. It's live.
Things are too easy to break.
Anarchists. There's no limit to the creativity of anarchists.
So what do? Do we just give up and say, you know what? I'm not going to be able to catch everything. I'm going to assume breach and just shut down.
Change careers.
Is that what you do? Change careers.
Change careers.
You're halfway there. You can just accept the fact that nothing lasts forever. And
well, I know one thing we like to say is assume the breach. In other words, don't count on your firewalls to have kept the bad guy out or the bad code. Nowadays, it's mainly the bad code. It's usually upstream code that gets pulled in that makes it through. But if you assume that something in your system is compromised, you don't know where it is, you don't know what it is, but you've got your system designed architecturally in such a way that it limits the blast radius. It limits how much any single compromised machine can take down. And that's all in architecture.
Yeah, so many places don't do that. The supposedly the smartest, the brightest, the biggest degrees, whatever, work at the places like Google and Facebook, or now Meta and AWS. And you would think they've got it together, but they don't, because when you see these big outages, they're often caused by chain reactions. They'll have one minor event, and then because their systems are so complex and interdependent, they get this cascade effect and everything goes down. And so when you see like, oh, the East Coast has just gone down for Google or AWS or whatever, that's what's going on. These guys that are supposedly really bright and, they're, I don't want to call them dumb, because they're not dumb, but they
No, they've designed and
they don't see the forest for the
these
trees.
Complex.
They look at these independent things and they don't understand the bigger picture of the implications of what happens when a forest fire starts. Like it's going to spread, and it's going to spread all over the place.
Mhm.
Yeah, they've been able to create these, I'm sure impressive, complicated systems, very complex, and can do a lot of cool stuff, compute, but it's where cybersecurity starts, right? If you can make it so that things are actually simpler, they'll make it easier to rebuild, right? In case you have to do that, but also to recognize when something's behaving in a way that you weren't expecting it to,
Mhm.
instead of it being a big mess, and you can just like hide in there with it.
Yeah. Yep. Well, all this reminds me of this XKCD cartoon, where it's kind of showing all of modern infrastructure, the internet and everything else, and then it's all based on, reliant upon some little project that a person's been maintaining for free since 2003. I just threw the link in the private chat. I can't get it into the public chat, but maybe someone can share that. It's unfortunately it's too true.
It's like a big Jenga puzzle. Yeah. Yep. And then there's that little piece on the bottom. If you just knock that out, then the whole thing comes down. And there's a comment in here about people paying fake invoices, and it's the same problem, right? It's the exact same problem, because you've got this tremendous complexity, and if you look at just like a normal person in the organization, and they're hit with some kind of input, like somebody sends them an email that says you got to pay this invoice or whatever, and everything's so complex that they don't know whether or not that they should or they shouldn't, and they don't want to get in trouble, so they just do it.
Yeah. Yep. And it doesn't get caught often, which is why people continue to do it.
That's an old scam too. That's a real old scam. I remember that scam in the 80s.
Yeah, in the age of the fax machines.
Yeah, you get these invoices
unknown invoice would come rolling through, and
100 reams of paper, and you have to, they say pay this, and you're late on your payment, and they're like, oh my gosh, I have to get this paid. And
yeah,
I think a lot of people think about cybersecurity as these very specific, only cybersecurity things about identity access and firewalls, and all the very specific cybersecurity things, but it really starts with their network administration.
And it starts with what's the shape? Who's on your network? What's the shape of your network? Do you know? How can you find out?
What's going on in there?
Yep.
Nothing. It's nothing. I've looked down an Ethernet wire and I didn't see anything.
Oh my gosh. 100 million rows.
I didn't hear anything.
Over the course of a couple days, and the bulk of it's noise.
Yeah.
That was crazy. So there was a very interesting question. How leaders can build recovery capability without accepting preventable disruption as inevitable. I think this goes back to resilience. Basically, it's how can you prepare for the worst without accepting that the worst is going to happen. And some people would argue that you have to accept it before you can prepare for it, but that's not the point. The point is that if you have things set up in order to recover quickly when a disruption happens, and don't have a preventable disruption happen more than once. In other words, learn from your mistakes and from others' mistakes. Yeah, how do you prepare
from
for the worst
others.
without
That's
accepting the
important from
worst?
others.
Yep. Learning from the more you can learn from others' mistakes, the less you'll have to learn from your own mistakes, and it's a lot less painful.
Yes, it's cheaper.
I think all of us who have kids understand that, and we're like, can't you learn from my mistakes I made? You have to go through the same pain I did, and quite often they do.
Of course they do. That's the wheel of life. And the recovery process. That's another thing. Is there's a myth. Of course, a lot of people know this, that you do backups and you think we're covered. We have backups, but then nobody ever tested those backups, or they tested the process once. You know, it worked 3 years ago. I'm sure it's going to work today.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, there was a comment earlier where Jesse asked, how often should companies deliberately test failover? You know, how often should we test our backups? How often should we run through our plan of what to do when the bad things happen? Yeah, it depends. What does it depend on?
A million details, a million variables.
That is not what the company is doing.
There's no silver bullet for anything. You can't just blanket say this is the way you do it. And
if you make over, $2 million a year in revenue, you should be testing once a month. I'm just making it up, pulling numbers out of my butt because I have no clue. It
Netflix
really depends on
Chaos Monkey. I think, was it Chaos Monkey?
The Chaos Monkey.
Yeah, where it would just randomly take down servers, and they do that periodically to test their resilience.
Yeah. So if you're that big, all the time,
I'll tell you what you do. You piss off China or North Korea, and they will give you free pen testing around the clock.
Free cybersecurity resilience training around.
Oh, what a sweet deal!
24/7. Yeah,
can't beat free.
No. That's another. I wonder about this, right? In this, jumping back to the LLMs, now automated attacks, and what's the capability for destruction has been democratized. So, like the way the Colt brought, it was a great equalizer. The Colt pistol.
Oh yeah.
And because now it doesn't matter who you are. It used to be, the strong people could go through and take advantage. And now if you got a pistol, that anybody can defend themselves. Well, we're seeing the same sort of thing with cyber stuff now, and the way it's evolving, and that anybody can launch cyber attacks. So I'm wondering, there's a lot of these places that could use pen testing, regular penetration testing, but it's expensive. And so even if they do it, they only do it every now and then, on a slow rotation. With automated attacks everywhere, is this going to make everything stronger? Is this basically going to weed out the weak and only the resilient systems are going to be the ones left standing? And then they're just going to naturally be the best practice? Well, you have to do it this way. Otherwise, because right now, that's what happened with firewalls. If you plug something in the internet, you're immediately attacked by scans from all over the place. And so people are like, oh, don't plug in unless you got a firewall.
Yeah.
And it's like automatic. So I wonder, if something similar is going to happen now with,
if it's mandatory, then that would put a lot of burden on the small companies that can't really have a lot of resources to dedicate to that kind of stuff. Right.
But unfortunately, if everything's being automated, I don't think it doesn't matter how big you are, you're going to be getting scanned.
I think part of the problem is the big technology companies that sell us crap.
Yeah.
Just absolute crap. Why after how long has it been? A long time. Windows, right? Why isn't Windows stable and secure and bug free and rock solid? And why? Well, it's like
it makes more monetary.
And I know what the answer is. It's money, right? Yeah. It's money. It's because they don't optimize for. They're not doing it for your benefit. They're doing it for their profit margin and their shareholders.
Yep.
Right. And if they can, I remember when Microsoft, they probably still do. I don't know. They would change their APIs every year. internally. So if you wrote software and sold software for a Windows platform, every year you had to go and retrain on a different set of APIs because they keep changing and evolving. And then you had to redo your software and redeploy it as updates. And if you didn't stay on top of it, your software would roll off. Well, what this meant was that Microsoft could have this big developer ecosystem that they charged money for, that they'd rope everyone into, and you couldn't get out of it.
Yep.
You know, it's practices like that. It's, I guess, would you call that rent seeking? I think, where you're just extorting money out of people just because you can, just because you can twist their arm. It's not because you have to. It's not because it's the way it has to be. It's because they found that was an optimal way to maximize their profit margin.
Yeah.
Clever.
It's,
Speaking of clever, you have to be pretty clever to solve our capture the flag.
Do we get a clue?
Oh,
yes. So if you go to ridgebacknet.com/games, you'll find our current CTF puzzle. And this week is hint week. Hooray. So we can pull it up on the screen here. So this is the current puzzle. See if you can solve it. Email us the answer if you can figure this out. So what is the name of this color? And there's a bunch of like symbols on there. So this week I'm giving you a clue. So that there on the left looks like a Earth, a calendar, and a year. So hopefully you figured out that was Earth Day. When was the first Earth Day? 1970. So we got 70.
Okay.
And then who's that guy down there? Does anybody recognize him?
42.
Yep, that's number 42. Bill Clinton. So if you see like, oh, who's that? Oh, it was Bill Clinton. Okay. You think, oh, he's the 42nd president. So that picture there symbolizes 42. So you would add 70 and 42 together. And of course, when you add them together, you get A2.
If you're in X. Otherwise, you get like 112.
Wait, is this a hint, or is this the answer?
This is a hint. Yeah,
Okay.
this is a hint here.
So 112 is the answer.
So what's going to happen here is you're going to get 3 hex codes, and you put them all together, and it equals a color code.
We
You will
cast a
email
spell
us
with
the
that.
answer. What is the name of this color? So see if you can figure out what is the secret number in each of the remaining clues, and either add them together or subtract them, put it all together, and you'll get a color code.
So I'll ask my
I got it.
LLM
Alfonso.
what color starts with A2 and includes the name of 3 Chilean miners dressed up as U.S. astronauts.
Bartholomew. Robespierre.
No.
Is that Bartholomew Brown or Bartholomew Green?
Are you brute forcing it?
It's the name. Name of the color.
You can find every color that starts with A2 and email us.
The answer might be in there.
You only have to get it right one time.
It is a small set.
Yeah, it's the smallest set.
From A2 0000 through A2 FFFF.
Yeah, it's 64K.
From the comment, someone said, Bill Clinton was not on my cybersecurity bingo card. Yeah, me too.
Well, if you're familiar with this cybersecurity like conventions, we do CTF, capture the flag challenges where people can bring their laptops and they solve like puzzles and stuff. And we go over cybersecurity fundamentals for techniques on how to do stuff, but also like cryptography. And so this is maybe a some kind of puzzle, like some kind of brain teaser or something. So in that spirit.
So
and
that
if you go
means
to our website, you can see the archive of all the other previous challenges too.
Yeah.
so they never get the answer. We just tease them.
Yes. No, they get the answer.
It's a brain
After it's
teaser.
passed, we put the answer up on the website.
It's not a
you know.
tease anymore.
But it's hidden, so they can choose to not view it and then check themselves. And there's also a Sudoku on there that changes every day. So that's fun.
Tune in next week for the stunning reveal.
Who shot JR? Right? It was JR.
Through the door.
I thought it was.
Yeah, it was JR. Who shot JR? In Dallas, the series.
Yeah.
Everybody watched that, right? Didn't they? Sam's like,
No.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
No. Dallas, the series.
Who?
Look, you got to look it up. Maybe that'll be part of a CTF at some point.
That'd be interesting.
It was one of these, not a sitcom, but a what are they called? I don't even know what they called those.
Soap
things.
opera.
Was it a soap opera? Because it was in the evening, wasn't it?
Oh, the evening ones they call. Oh, my mind's pulling a blank. It's not a soap opera. It's a drama. Something drama. A telenovela.
Yeah, it's like a soap opera, but at night. That sounds wrong.
Yeah, it does.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us. We'll be here again next
watching.
week, every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, where we stayed on topic actually most of the time this week.
What? Did we?
Yeah.
No,
Good.
I don't believe it.
Okay.
Bye.
See ya.